How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is a very special one. Today I'm going to be doing my first ever Q&A, I believe. I think this is the first one I've ever done. I asked you guys over on Instagram, Oscar Forex, to ask me some questions. I'm going to be answering them today. And if you guys want to participate in the next giveaway, feel free, go and drop me a follow on Instagram. So you are able to see when I ask on Instagram for the next set of questions. Without further ado, we're going to get into the Q&A. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first question is, what is my biggest fear? Now, I feel like I'm going to split this into two parts. I'm going to do my biggest fear in trading, because obviously this is a trading related channel. But then I also thought, let me teach you a bit about me and talk about my biggest fear outside of trading. So we'll start with the trading one. I have to say, I think my biggest fear in trading, and I think probably the biggest fear that most people would have in Forex, is like investing all this time, right? And then not actually getting anywhere with it, such as, you know, not becoming profitable or not getting a prop firm payout or a prop firm account or any goal that you've set in Forex. I think for a lot of people, not achieving their specific goal for the amount of time they've invested is probably something that scares them. I know personally it did for me. You know, when I was starting out a couple years ago and back testing many hours of the day, I used to sometimes think, you know, what if this doesn't work? What happens if, you know, it all goes wrong and I don't get anywhere with it? I don't understand it. And I've invested all this time, which I can't get back, into something that never actually pays out. And I think the way I kind of got over that fear, was to think, well, it's a reason to not quit, you know, or not give up. Because if I have spent this many hours on something, I think that then why quit? You know, you have spent that much time on it. Don't quit. Continue with it until you get it, because when you get it, it's going to be very rewarding. So I have to say, I think my biggest fear in trading would definitely have to be, you know, putting in these hours for what, you know, if it doesn't work out. But as I said, that keeps me motivated every day to not quit, you know, whether I have a losing streak or whatever. You know, it's going to keep you going because you have invested all this time and you want to get something out of it. And then, I think, it's a tough one, you know, for like in general, because I don't want to be like cliche and say, you know, the classic, like, the fear of failing or the fear of disappointing my parents. And, you know, if that is yours, then fair enough. But I don't know. For me, I think the only person that I'm competing to improve and to make better is myself. So, you know, obviously it'd be nice to do things for other people. But at the end of the day, I don't want to let down myself more than anything. But in terms of fears outside of trading, I think I don't really have that many. I don't like heights, particularly. I think they're pretty scary. You know, I mean, like being up really high. We used to do these like swings back in the day on school trips. I used to hate them. They sucked. I don't know. This sounds weird, all right? But I have a fear of milk. Well, not a fear of it, but I hate it. Like, I don't want to drink it. I don't want to see it. If someone spilt it, it grosses me out. Like seeing it on the sides of places. I hate milk. It's a very random one, but I don't like it. So I think that's probably a fairly entertaining answer for you. So the next question is, when did you realize trading was real? So obviously not like as in trading exists, I don't think. But I think like that moment where you're like, wow, like this is crazy. And I think, you know, it probably comes down to my first month ever of trading. So I remember back in the day when I started out, I had a £100 account and I was trading gold, which is stupid because that isn't a big enough account to even equate the lot sizes. You know, the minimal lot size on gold of 0.01, you need an account bigger than 100 to actually have a 1% loss, if you get what I'm saying. So I was trading gold and essentially over leveraging, but accidentally, you know, I didn't know what over leveraging was. So I kind of was over leveraging and I took a trade by accident. And I remember I made like 12% on gold, 12%, yeah. So, you know, wasn't much money in terms of like the amount, obviously because it was only a £100 account. You know, what's that, like £12? It's not exactly like, life changing. That being said, back then when I was 18, and I'd sort of just got into trading, I was working like a restaurant job, like your standard like waiter, clean the dishes, 14 hours a day. And I was on like $6.50 an hour, right? Or £6 an hour. It wasn't good. And I remember this trade took maybe an hour to hit TP, something like that. And I just remember being like, wow. So in an hour where I've sat at the charts and done nothing, I've kind of just guessed, I've made 2 hours worth of restaurant work, where you're running around, you're dealing with customers, you're cleaning stuff, you're clearing plates. It's not easy stuff, and it's pretty boring as well. And I was able to make 2 hours in an hour, just by sitting at my desk. And I think when I remember doing that, I just remember sitting there and I was just like, wow, like this could be something. Like, yeah, sure, my account isn't big enough right now, but a bigger account, this can really turn into something good. And I think, yeah, that was kind of the moment where I was just like, wow, this is real. This is crazy. Obviously after that, beginner's luck, you go on your massive losing streak, and you lose a crazy amount of money. But then you sort of, work it out and you get back to it. So the next question is, what do I want to achieve a year from now? So this time next year, so October next year, what do I want to achieve? Well, that's actually a really good question. I had goals set for the end of this year, but I haven't really thought about next year's goals, and specifically from a year right now. Obviously life will be slightly different. As some of you know, I'm doing university as well, and I'm a big advocate for having a backup plan and not just full sending, becoming a professional trader. Always have that backup plan just in case you need it. But yeah, always have that backup plan just in case you need it. So I won't be in university obviously next year. So where do I see myself, or what goals do I have? Well, first of all, I want to buy a Rolex. Now I know this is like a very stereotypical one. I know a lot of people probably have that as their goal at some point in life, but for me, it's been something I've always wanted, and I've always wanted to get into watches, but obviously just never had the capital yet. But I think to be able to own a Rolex in a year, that would be unbelievable. I think that would be so cool. So I'd say in terms of what do I want to achieve, I want to have been able to buy my first Rolex. I want to have a large funded account, a multiple funded accounts, 400k, a million, whatever. I think that would be really good. And then I've also got maybe a financial target per month of what I want to hit. Obviously, I'm not going to share how much I make in a month online, nor am I going to share how much I want to make, because then that kind of gives you an idea roughly of how much I'm making right now. But I have a financial goal in my head of, right, I want to earn this much a month in a year's time. So I'd say, yeah, so buy my first Rolex, have a certain, number in my head of how much I want to be making in a month, and yeah, have a built up funded capital. And then I guess other than that, maybe like, just trying to grow this channel as much as possible. If I could hit 1,000 subscribers in a year, because obviously I know it's hard to grow, especially in this space, maybe 1,000 subs, maybe 2,000 subs, whatever. I think that would be really cool, because at the end of the day, the goal of my channel is to just support and help as many people as possible in a much more raw, real form. I want to be honest. I want to show you, what the influencers don't. I'm not going to be whipping around in Lamborghinis or, doing like all that crazy stuff. I want to be genuine, honest, and be myself. And hopefully you guys will come along for the journey. The final question that I'm going to do in today's Q&A, obviously, as I said, if you want to participate in the next one, feel free to follow my Instagram, Oscar Forex, where I'll be doing, obviously, asking for the next set of questions. But the final question of today's Q&A is, what was my aha moment? Like in trading, some of you will probably know where you just suddenly go, aha, like that makes sense now, I get it. And I remember exactly when this was, and it was like a year ago, where I was sort of like, wow. And a very, very good friend of mine in the industry, Will's Effects, he's been very helpful to me. I remember I was talking to him about something trading related, and he was talking about this certain thing that I'm not going to go into because, I don't know what he wants out there, but he he was talking about this certain thing that I understood, but I didn't necessarily fully understand it. And he said it in a way that suddenly just clicked. And I can't really explain how it happened, but he just said it in a way that I was suddenly like, oh my days, that makes sense now. I get that. And ever since then, it's helped my trading a lot, my understanding of this certain thing a lot. So I owe that to him, you know. And on top of that, I think, so that was kind of the first aha moment I had where I was just like, wow, that makes sense now. I get that. And that really helped. And I think the other moment was when I was back testing a couple months ago, actually. This was fairly recent, a couple months ago. And I was back testing market structure in particular. And I sort of discovered this technique or this little edge, whatever you want to call it, that I hadn't really seen anywhere online before. And I was like, wow, like that makes it so much easier to understand. And now actually market structure is I'd say probably the biggest thing in my strategy in terms of how my strategy is built up. Market structure is my main thing. That is the thing that I love the most and trade the most. And I do teach it, little plug, in the Telegram. I'm going to be doing a Zoom on it, and I'm also going to be doing a video on it so that you can have it if you miss the Zoom or whatever, talking about the edge that I found in the market structure and how I use market structure, because it's slightly different to a lot of people out there. But I think, yeah, that was like my second aha moment. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like. Feel free to put any questions in the comments. Obviously, I'll try and answer them. And yeah, if you want to get involved in the next Q&A, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. But I appreciate everyone watching, and I will see you in the next one.